Hey guys, today we're going to do something slightly different. We are going to talk about Rec. 709. And if you haven't heard about this already, you probably want to look into it to understand what color spaces are and what Rec. 709 is basically. I know a lot of people are struggling with getting the right colors after they've edited. They've edited something on their display and then they exported it and it looks different. And often that can be because your display is showing a different color space or different color gamut. And then you export it into Rec. 709 and then it looks slightly different because the colors are compressed. So let's just talk about what Rec. 709 are. Rec. 709 is the way for our displays to show what our cameras have captured. So our cameras capture a lot more colors than the human eye can see and what our displays can see. So modern TVs and some displays can show HDR, can show more colors, but the industry standard is called Rec. 709 or BT 709, I think it's called as well. It has a few different names, but the most common one is Rec. 709. And the thing to understand is that it is a smaller color space. If we look at the screen here, you can see that Rec. 709 is this line in the middle, and it kind of covers the smallest amount of colors in here, meaning that it has less shades of color. It has less amount of colors in it, but it has the same colors. So what essentially it is transferring whatever input it gets into Rec. 709 and interprets it in that way. So kind of translating from one thing to a common language that we can all understand. So saying from Spanish to English or Danish to English or something else, a common language that we can understand and see, and our displays can then show us. It still matters that your display shows sRGB or Rec. 709 to show the correct color space, to make sure that you actually see the colors that the Rec. 709 has outputted. But the important thing to understand here is that Rec. 709 is a smaller color space. So if we look at the screen again, you will see that in this image that I found online, you have a few different ones that we can see. So for example, Ari is a camera that they shoot with in Hollywood. It is a cinema camera, and you can see that this blue line going around out here tells us that for this camera in this wide gamut color profile, there's a lot more colors in that color space. So the camera has captured a lot more color than what our display can show. So when we transfer it down into Rec. 709, as you can see in this photo, it will be shrunken down into a smaller color space. So why is that important? It's important to know because when we capture something with our camera, we want it to go into a color space. And you can't just shoot in Rec. 709 straight off your camera. That's usually just shooting with a normal color profile, not shooting in log, not doing anything else, just choosing the normal regular color profile. That will often be Rec. 709, and then the colors or like the image is basically ready to go, or that's at least the purpose. It's ready to go just out of the box, out of the camera. But if you want to do some more color grading, which I assume you are if you're watching my channel regularly, because I do a lot of color grading on here, then we want to have as many colors and as much space as we can within our colors, within the footage that we captured, to then work with, and then we want to output it into Rec. 709. So you've probably seen some of my other videos, maybe you haven't. If you're new here, welcome. But I always put the Rec. 709 conversion inside of DaVinci Resolve in the end. Also done a few other videos showing how to use LUTs in Premiere Pro, and I do the same thing. I make sure that either the Lumetri color or the adjustment layer is the top layer where I'm transforming the footage from whatever color profile I've shot in my case, often Canon Cinema Gamut from my Canon R6 or D-Log and DJI's color space from that. So I transfer it into the correct color space and then we work with it, in this case Rec. 709, and we do it in the end because then we have the full width of all the colors to work with. Before we jump into showing you why you want it in the end and not before, let's just quickly touch upon bitrate, because I know that's quite important as well in terms of understanding how much color you actually have to work with. And as far as I've understood it so far, and I'm by no means an expert, so you can go nerding into this. I have done that myself, but I've had a difficult time finding the correct answer for this particular question. But as far as I understand it, Rec. 709 converts into what's called 8-bit color, and that's essentially 16 million shades of color, which sounds like a lot, But then if you move up one step onto 10-bit, you have a little bit more than 1 billion colors available, which is a lot more than 16 million. Now, all of a sudden, 16 million doesn't sound as much. And then if you move up to 12-bit, which is like the big cinema cameras and some pocket cinema cameras as well, that is more than 60 million colors. So a lot of colors we have to work with. And that's why you want the Rec. 709 conversion to be in the end. So let me just show you what that means. So now we're inside of DaVinci Resolve. I've just dragged in one of my clips. I've done some quick adjustments. Basically what I've done, if we turn everything off, this was shot in Canon Cinema Gamut, which is the color space that I have chosen that my camera should shoot in. And then the input gamma is C-Log free. That's just to make sure that I capture as much dynamic range as possible. That's not really important right now. Then I'm converting it into Rec. 709 as another color space, another interpretation of the colors so that my display can show it. And I also have my settings on my MacBook to show sRGB to make sure that I see the correct colors for this color space. So when we turn on this transformation, you will see that the image is turned from whatever flat profile it was here. And with that flat profile, because I'm changing the gamma as well, if we weren't changing the gamma, we would just see a slight variation in color. So you can kind of see how that works in terms of now the colors are in the Cinema Gamut and now we convert them into the Rec. 709 color space. So if we just change to Gamma 2.4 again, now we got an image that is changed. Now, if I want to put a LUT onto this to make it more cinematic, say this LUT that I've done myself and make some adjustments to make sure that it looks better, basically just turn up the offset on this one. And then if I turn this off, you can see now it's a brighter image, but we just put on this LUT. If we look down at our scopes here, you can see that this LUT and our conversion here has changed up our colors and how our histogram is looking by dragging it down, and the reds have been pushed quite far down and might also even be clipping a little bit. But if I now do this and take my Rec. 709 conversion here, turn it off, and then turn it on in the back, you actually see quite a big difference in the image. So now it looks a lot less blue, which is the cinematic colors that we were going for. It looks a little bit more flat. It still looks good, but it looks a little bit more flat. And you can see on our curves or our scopes down here that the reds have been clipped or cut off way before. So if we turn it back, you can see that now the colors stretch a lot more throughout the image, and it gives us this cinematic teal greenish color that I went for this image. And if we then turn it back again, you will see that it is clipping. So that is why when we put it in the end in DaVinci Resolve or as an adjustment layer on top in some other editing software, now we are working with all the colors that our camera captured in this part. So that's why when we apply the LUT, when we apply our corrections, we're doing that before we're doing anything else. If we do it the other way around, now we've converted into the smaller color space, and now we're doing our adjustments afterwards. So that means we have less colors available, we have less room to work. So essentially, that's what Rec. 709 does. I didn't want to go into a lot of details and technical stuff because honestly, that's what confused myself in the beginning. And I just wanted to give you a simple overview to understand what Rec. 709 is. If you are just shooting in your normal camera profile, it's usually just shooting in Rec. 709, and that can look perfectly fine. As you can see from what we just looked at inside of DaVinci Resolve, you still have a lot of room to work with. You can still change the colors, you can still do things. So it's not that if you shoot in Rec. 709 already, you can't do anything with your image, but you do have less room to work with. So that's why when you shoot in something like log, in different color spaces, you have a lot more room because the camera have captured a lot of colors, a lot of information, a lot of dynamic range, depending on how you shoot. And that's then what you can wiggle around with when you are editing your colors and your exposure afterwards. For something like log, for something like raw, if you're shooting on high-end cameras. So essentially, what you need to know is you need a display that can show sRGB or Rec. 709, same thing. And then you need to convert your footage. If it's not already shot in Rec. 709, you need to convert your footage into Rec. 709. Basically, that's the first thing, but put it at the end of the node tree or at the top of your layers to make sure that it's done as the last step. So you still have all the room to work with underneath or before to make sure that you still can do your color twisting and your color changes. And then it converts all of that, all of those changes into Rec. 709 in the end, and it'll look as you saw it. So basically, that's what I wanted to tell you in this one. I hope it makes sense. It's quite a tricky topic, and I actually had a lot more prepared, but I realized it was too technical and I was getting confused myself, so I decided to just keep it short and brief to kind of like just give you an overview of Rec 709 and what it is, and show you the difference that it makes when you put it into work and when you transform it, and why you want it to be transformed at the end. So I hope it made sense. I hope it helped you out with the understanding. It definitely helped me out to get to this place and help my color grading, understanding what Rec 709 is. So I hope I help you a little bit in that journey. And yeah, we're still on the road with all these videos, so I'll keep pushing on, and thank you so much for watching if you made it all the way here. Until the next time, take care.